If you're watching this video, I'm guessing you have an impact driver or you're thinking about getting one. You've probably had the maddening experience of trying to start a screw up high or in an awkward place where two hands just isn't possible. And then of course you drop the screw, or several of them, and you just end up getting angry instead of getting work done. I have a tiny little helpful tool to share with you that'll help you get more work and less frustration from your impact driver. Stick around to the end though, because I want to show you that it's not for every project, and I'll share with you what I don't like about it. So right now, my two go-to drill bits are the T25 Torx and the number 2 square or Robertson bit. Both of these have really good grip, and the bit locks in nice. Driving screws with them is super easy, and I really don't have very many problems. But when I'm working in tight spaces or dark areas and awkward positions, or worse yet, reaching up really high at the top of a ladder, it can be really hard to get the screw started. The screw simply wants to fall off the bit or fall into oblivion, only to be discovered by some later civilization. It's super annoying. You wish you had a third hand at times. So this little tool is called the magnet lock sleeve, and currently it's included when you buy a set of drill bits, and it also comes in some of the DeWalt bit kits. You might even have one in a bit kit and you just don't even know what the heck it is. It has a small but strong magnet in the tip of the sleeve, and then it has this little bearing detent inside the barrel that holds it to the bit. The sleeve slides over the bit. It does take a bit of force to get it on, but that's a good thing because it does not fall off. Once it's installed, the magnet is in kind of a ready position. When you bring the screw to the bit, the magnet will jump forward and grab the screw and then pull it into the bit. The small magnet in the tip of the sleeve actually pulls it towards the front of the bit, which is good because if it were to slide to the back, it won't engage and it's basically worthless. This magnet is actually pretty strong for such a little thing. You can use it to pick up several screws if you need to, and it definitely holds onto the screw really well. Unlike other magnetic bit holders that you're probably familiar with, this does not magnetize the bit per se. It more grabs onto the head of the screw through the little circle magnet. So this sleeve is designed to work specifically with DeWalt's impact rated bits, and it is interchangeable, so you can slide it off of one bit and onto another one if you have to change drivers. It makes sense that they designed this to work with their impact bits because typically when you're going to put screws in, you're probably going to grab your impact driver. Of course, you could throw it in a drill and it would do the same job. This magnet, I feel like, does a great job holding small and medium screws, which is nice because those are oftentimes the hardest ones to hold onto, and sometimes they misbehave the most. But I noticed it actually does an okay job holding onto really long screws, but when you get up to like lag screws, it's definitely not going to hold those on. It's pretty impressive that when you drive the impact driver at full throttle, it's actually able to keep the screw on the bit. What I find this little thing to be super helpful for is when you need to free up a hand or it's somewhere that's really hard to reach. It's so easy to get that screw started using the magnet. I also feel like sometimes on long screws or a screw that just really wants to misbehave, maybe because of the wood grain, it's nice to have that second hand to stabilize the impact to really get the angle that you're trying to get, and that free hand is amazing. The way the sleeve works, it sort of acts like a depth gauge, although of course that's not really how it's designed. As you bring the screw to the bit, you can actually see the bit, and as you bring it there, the magnet will actually slide forward and grab the screw and then hold it in place. Like I said at the beginning though, this little magnet thing isn't really good for every project, and there's some stuff I definitely don't like about it. Probably the first thing that you'll find out is that it doesn't work on stainless steel screws because they're not magnetic, and so if you're working with stainless screws, you're kind of just stuck having to figure it out. There are some situations where being able to see the head is really important, and obviously this magnet blocks that visibility, like if you're trying to be really delicate, and that's one downside to this type of magnet holder. Another thing I don't really love is that this is designed to only fit DeWalt impact bits. It doesn't fit the power bits, it doesn't fit other brands of bits, and so if you're not using the DeWalt impact bits, well, you might be able to look and see if your manufacturer makes something like this, and maybe you can find one that works for your bits. I've seen other people complaining about this online, that it's hard to remove sometimes. That small bearing detent does an amazing job of keeping it on the bit, but if you have maybe arthritic hands or just hard working with small little things, you might find this thing kind of annoying to get off. I actually grab a pair of pliers sometimes and give it a tug, and that works really well, but it can be a little bit frustrating. And one last thing, I noticed if you're working on surfaces that you could damage, like maybe a painted finish or something stainless steel, you need to be really careful because I noticed it can actually have a tendency to scratch that if you drive the screw in too far. I find this little tool to be super helpful, so if you have an impact driver, I hope you'll give it a look.